Friends, it's a privilege to host the Lanting Forum today, themed the Global Security Initiative, China's proposal for solving security challenges. First, on behalf of the China Public Diplomacy Association, I'd like to extend a warm welcome and heartfelt appreciation to you all. Building a world that enjoys universal security is the shared pursuit of all people. The world today faces a combination of changes and turmoil and a combination of strong winds and rough seas. The geopolitical conflict triggered by the Ukraine crisis has produced a profound impact on global security, and the COVID-19 pandemic is compounded by worsened food and energy security. All countries in the world have never been more focused about security. Facing such an uncertain world, President Xi Jinping, bearing in mind the future and well-being of the humanity, proposed the Global Security Initiative. It sets out China's views on promoting security for all and offers new directions and new approaches to improving the global security governance system and solving the security challenges facing humanity. At today's Lanting Forum, the Global Security Initiative concept paper will be released. It is hoped that this will help build greater consensus, deepen exchanges, facilitate discussions on pathways and modalities of strengthening international security cooperation under the GSI framework, and contribute wisdom and strength to tackle international security challenges and improving global security governance. We're honored to be joined by Foreign Minister秦刚at the Lanting Forum, who will later give a keynote speech, and former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and former Slovenia President Danilo Turk will give their pre-recorded speeches. We are also joined by diplomatic envoys, representatives of international organizations, experts, and scholars. Once again, a warm welcome to you all. Now, may I invite Foreign Minister秦刚to deliver the keynote speech. Welcome. Thank you, Ambassador Wu Hailong. Your Excellency Ban Ki-moon, former Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellency Danilo Turk, former President of Slovenia, diplomatic envoys, distinguished guests, friends, it gives me great pleasure to meet friends old and new in Lanting. Let me begin by extending a warm welcome to you all. Security is a major issue bearing on the world's future and the survival of humanity. The world today is not a tranquil place. Changes unseen in a century are fast evolving. Major country competition is intensifying. Geopolitical conflicts are escalating. The global security governance system is woefully lagging behind, and traditional and non-traditional security threats keep flaring up. All countries are confronted by multiple risks and challenges rarely seen in history, and human society faces multiple security dilemmas like never before. What security concepts does the world need, and how can countries achieve common security? These are the questions of this era facing us all. The choice made by China is clear-cut. President Xi Jinping proposed the Global Security Initiative, GSI, which upholds the vision of common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security, pursues the long-term objective of building a security community, and advocates a new path to security featuring dialogue over confrontation, partnership over alliance, and win-win over zero-sum. The GSI embodies the core tenets in the vision of a community with a shared future for mankind, and has been warmly received by the international community upon its introduction. Over 80 countries and regional organizations have expressed their appreciation and support. Today, China officially releases the Global Security Initiative concept paper. It expounds on the core ideas and principles of the GSI, identifies the priorities and platforms and mechanisms of cooperation, and demonstrates China's sense of responsibility for safeguarding world peace and firm resolve to defend global security. The concept paper lays out 20 priorities of cooperation, all highly action-oriented, and they could be summarized as follows. Upholding the UN's central role in security governance. The authority of the UN should be safeguarded. The UN should be supported in its efforts to prevent war and conflict, develop the peace-building architecture and promote post-war reconstruction, and in playing a bigger role in global security affairs. Promoting coordination and sound interactions among major countries. Major countries should take the lead in upholding equality, cooperation, and the rule of law. Hegemonic, bullying, and domineering practices should be rejected. Joint efforts should be made to build a framework of major country relations featuring peaceful coexistence, overall stability, and balanced development. Facilitating peaceful settlement of hotspot issues through dialogue. Support should be extended to the parties involved to settle their disputes and differences through dialogue and consultation. The international community should speak up for justice, cool down hotspots, and deflate tensions. Tackling traditional and non-traditional security challenges. It is important to promote global strategic stability, oppose arms race, and defuse nuclear war risks. Combined efforts are needed to fight COVID-19, combat terrorism, and safeguard data security, biosecurity, and the stability of supply and technological chains. Strengthening the system and capacity for global security governance. A security governance architecture featuring coordination among governments and international organizations and participation of non-governmental organizations should be developed. China will hold a high-level event on the GSI at a proper time to discuss with all parties ways to promote security. Friends, security is a right for all countries. It is not a prerogative of some, still less should it be decided by any individual country. The GSI intends to serve the interests of all and protect tranquility for all. Its advances need the unity and cooperation of the international community. In implementing the GSI, China advocates the following 5 principles. First, mutual respect. The purposes and principles of the UN Charter must be observed. The equality of countries, regardless of size, strength, and wealth, should be upheld. Different systems, religions, and civilizations should be treated as equals. The core interests of all countries and legitimate security concerns of all parties should be respected. Second, openness and inclusion. The GSI targets no particular country and excludes no particular party. All countries are welcome to join the GSI if they so wish, and all efforts for global peace and development will be supported. Third, multilateralism. Bilateral and multilateral security cooperation should be pursued among countries around the world and international regional organizations in line with the principle of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits. Issues that matter to all should be addressed by all. Greater synergy should be forged among various security visions to seek the greatest possible common ground. Fourth, mutual benefit and win-win. The principle of indivisible security should be followed. One's own security and the common security of all should be advanced side by side. by pursuing win-win cooperation that contributes to each other's progress and opposing a zero-sum game that benefits oneself at the cost of others, to expand the converging interests of all. Fifth, a holistic approach. Security governance needs to be advanced in a coordinated manner, and traditional and non-traditional security threats should be tackled in a holistic way. Equal emphasis should be placed on security and development to eliminate the breeding ground for insecurity and seek fundamental and doable ways for achieving sustainable security.
Friends, the GSI is rooted in the fine traditional Chinese culture that values peace above everything else and is inspired by China's independent foreign policy of peace and its practices. Over the years, China has held high the banner of peace, development, cooperation, and mutual benefit, fulfilled its responsibility for world peace, and contributed its level best to global security as a responsible major country. China is committed to the path of peaceful development. China has never started a conflict or war, or taken a single inch of foreign land. To this day, China remains the only country that has put the commitment to peaceful development in its constitution. No matter how much it develops, China will never seek hegemony, expansion, or sphere of influence, or engage in arms race, but remain a defender of world peace. China is committed to the international arms control, disarmament, and non-proliferation processes. China has joined over 20 multilateral arms control treaties and firmly upheld the international nuclear non-proliferation regime. China will continue to promote international cooperation on arms control and the building of a global nuclear security architecture featuring fairness and win-win cooperation, and play its part in maintaining global strategic stability. China is committed to meeting global challenges. China has made robust efforts to implement the Paris Climate Agreement, provided more than 2.2 billion doses of COVID vaccines to over 120 countries and international organizations, put forward the Global Initiative on Data Security and the International Cooperation Initiative on Global Food Security, and promoted the establishment of the Global Clean Energy Cooperation Partnership. China will continue advancing international cooperation on counterterrorism, disaster relief, climate change, public health, among others, combat transnational organized crime, and contribute its share to tackling non-traditional security threats. China is committed to following a Chinese approach to resolving hotspot issues. China believes in promoting peace through talks. Guided by its emphasis on addressing both the symptoms and root causes, its call for the involved parties to meet each other halfway, and its pursuit of fairness and justice, China has made unremitting efforts for the political settlement of hotspot issues. On the Iranian nuclear issue, China has actively promoted the resumption of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action to uphold the legitimate rights and interests of relevant countries and the international nuclear non-proliferation regime. On the Korean Peninsula issue, China stands for pursuing in parallel the establishment of a peace mechanism and the denuclearization of the peninsula, and addressing the legitimate concerns of all parties in a balanced manner to safeguard peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. On Middle East, China welcomes and supports security dialogues among regional countries including Saudi Arabia and Iran, as well as regional efforts to build a Middle East security architecture that suits the realities of the region and accommodates the interests of all parties. It has been almost a year since the full escalation of the Ukraine crisis. The international community is watching the developments closely. China is deeply worried about the escalation of the conflict and a possible spiral out of control. Since the outbreak of the crisis, China has taken an objective and impartial stance based on the merits of the issue. President Xi Jinping put forward 4 points on what must be done, 4 things the international community must do together, and 3 observations of the crisis, which has played a responsible and constructive role in easing the situation and de-escalating the crisis. China will continue to promote peace talks, contribute its ideas for a political settlement of the crisis, and join the international community to promote dialogue and consultation, address the concerns of all parties, and seek common security. In the meantime, we urge certain countries to immediately stop fueling the fire, stop shifting blame to China, and stop touting Ukraine today, Taiwan tomorrow. Friends, the development of a big country like China cannot happen without a secure international environment. Likewise, world security would not be possible without the security of China. Today, under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, the Chinese people are making strides in confidence and unity toward the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts through a Chinese path to modernization. However, external suppression and containment against China keep escalating, posing a serious threat to China's sovereignty and security. We stand firmly against any form of hegemonism and power politics, against the Cold War mentality and bloc confrontation, and against any foreign interference in China's internal affairs. We will resolutely safeguard China's sovereignty, security, and development interests, and international fairness and justice. Friends, peace and security are like sunshine and rain. They are taken for granted, but none can live without them. China wishes to work with all countries in the direction set out in the GSI and move together in unity and cooperation toward a brighter future of lasting peace and universal security. To conclude, I wish the forum a full success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foreign Minister, for your speech. With a broad global vision and through sharp strategic lens, the Foreign Minister analyzed the complex security situation of the world today, expounded on the relevance and global significance of the GSI, identified priorities of cooperation as outlined by the concept paper, and put forward 5 important principles to implement the GSI and promote common security. The keynote speech by the Foreign Minister speaks to China's firm resolve and sense of responsibility in safeguarding global security and charts the course for concerted international efforts to implement the GSI and solve security challenges facing humanity. Dear guests, now please join me in welcoming Mr. Ban Ki-moon and Mr. Turk for their remarks.
Thank you for your warm introduction. His Excellency Mr.秦刚, Minister of Foreign Affairs of China, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, 大家好. It is my privilege to warmly congratulate the organization of the 2023 Nanjing Forum. At the outset, let me extend my sincere congratulations to Foreign Minister秦刚on taking the burden to lead the Foreign Ministry of China. My special gratitude goes to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China for organizing this timely forum under the guiding theme of the Global Security Initiative. I expect that the active discussions and fruitful exchanges that will surely transpire throughout this hybrid forum would make a meaningful contribution to a more secure world during a period of elevated crisis and insecurity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in an unprecedented era of multifaceted crisis and heightened global insecurity and uncertainty. Geopolitical tensions are intensifying, in particular between China and the United States. An ongoing war in Ukraine constitutes one of the most dangerous global security crises in decades, with wide-ranging repercussions. COVID-19 pandemic seems to be finally at the end of long and painful tunnel, having disrupted seriously our economies, societies, and way of daily life. And our planet is on fire, with the climate crisis deepening as the heat surges, sea levels rise, and wildfires burn. Against this backdrop, it is clear that we must elevate our efforts to revitalize multilateralism and persevere with the collective challenges we are facing. Indeed, global crises inherently require global cooperation and partnership. In particular, the ongoing war and expanding conflict requires holistic responses that are both timely and united. However, divisions are widening, unity is far from reach, and therefore help is slow. As such, I humbly call on the 5 permanent UN Security Council members to step up and play genuine leadership roles in maintaining international peace and security. This is how the vision of common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security, as detailed in the Global Security Initiative concept paper, will be achieved. In this regard, I expect both China and the United States to come forward to cooperate each other more closely and constructively with the global vision to build a more peaceful and secure world for all. Only effective multilateralism, rooted in cooperation and urgency, can steer the United Nations to better respond to today's multiplying global challenges and safeguard global security, including emerging non-traditional threats. Before concluding, I reiterate my special congratulations on the organization of the launching forum and wish this forum could produce meaningful outcome. Thank you. 谢谢.
Distinguished moderator, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor as well as my personal pleasure to address you at this important gathering, the Lanting Forum devoted to the Global Security Initiative. We are honored today by presence of the Foreign Minister, Mr.秦刚. Mr. Minister, I wish you all success in your work at your new and highly important position. Now, we meet at a moment of great complexity. This is the time of serious security problems, and yes, the time when the rising tensions directly affect global peace and security. Threats to international peace and security, both traditional, including the use of military force by states, and non-traditional, continue to persist. The mentality of Cold War is taking hold in much of the global West, affecting global security and making international communication more difficult and less productive. As a result, there is a serious danger of misunderstandings. The cognitive dissonance continues to grow, and with it grows the danger of the self-fulfilling prophecies suggesting the inevitability of armed conflicts in the future. The disturbing realities of our time call upon all the people of the world and all states to rededicate themselves to peace and peaceful cooperation. This recommitment is needed to ensure survival and progress of humankind. Urgent political and diplomatic activities are called for to reduce tensions, to enable a constructive dialogue, and to find solutions for global security. This is the time when the wisdom of the Global Security Initiative, launched by President Xi Jinping in April last year, is particularly important. The Global Security Initiative offers a strong conceptual framework for global security dialogue and cooperation, and it rightly emphasized the centrality of respect for sovereignty, integrity, and dignity of all states, and the prohibition of use of force, prohibition of interference in internal affairs of states. In other words, all the essential values of global importance enshrined in the purposes and principles of the Charter of the United Nations. The United Nations remains the best existing hope for the future of humankind. All states should behave in accordance with the United Nations Charter. No individual state and no group of states should engage in strengthening their security at the expense of security of other states. All states should pursue dialogue with other states based on the principle of mutual respect. No state, not even the most important and powerful one, can succeed by basing itself on self-interest alone. Unilateralism, self-righteousness, and imposition are not the way of building a better world. Only cooperation based on respect for others and for the legitimate interest of the other are international law, in general, promise a way forward. It is essential that such a way forward is chosen now, when the world is facing unprecedented global challenges, including the ones resulting from an ever-intensified global warming. At this time, great powers hold special responsibilities. They have to recommit themselves to the principle that nuclear war cannot be won and therefore must never be fought. Moreover, they have to demonstrate the respect for each other and their preparedness to work together. They have to make every effort to reduce dangers of misunderstandings and miscalculation in matters of peace and security and in all other politically important matters. Now, for all these reasons, the world needs intensified, respectful, and honest discussion on international peace and security. The Global Security Initiative of President Xi Jinping offers a most welcome platform for such a discussion. And importantly, the discussion must not be limited to states alone. It must include the academia, business communities, civil society actors, and all other people of goodwill. This is the reason why our meeting today is so important. I wish Lanting Forum all success.
Just now, Mr. Ban Ki-moon and Mr. Danilo Turk fully commended the value of the GSI for our times in their remarks. They spoke highly of the positive role of China's release of the concept paper. They shared their observations and suggestions on deepening international security and cooperation and provided us with invaluable inspiration for taking concrete and effective steps to safeguard world peace and security. Their remarks also reflect the voice of the international community for pursuing peace and security and defending the common interests of humanity. I believe that through today's event, more people will echo our voices and join us in implementing the GSI and safeguarding world peace and tranquility. We now conclude the event event. Thank you to Foreign Minister Qin for attending today's event and making the keynote speech. And our thanks also go to Mr. Ban Ki-moon and Mr. Danilo Turk for their wonderful remarks. I believe, distinguished guests, you have noticed the GSI concept paper before you. In fact, the Xinhua Agency has also released the full document to the world. I hope that through this document, you will be able to have a better understanding of the content of the initiative and join us in the bilateral and multilateral cooperation under its framework. Let's work for its early implementation. Now we'll take a 10-minute tea break and then go on to panel discussions on the global security initiative and traditional security and non-traditional security and international cooperation. We look forward to your active participation. Thank you all.